Welcome to the No Limits podcast with your host, Willy.
All right, we're back. Episode number 8, No Limits with Willy. We got smiling Sam Alvey on today. He's the man. There's that smile, the famous smile. The smile of champions.
Hey, good to be on. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Loving life, enjoying my family.
Yeah, you got the kiddos in the back? Where you guys?
Yeah, we're on our way to a beach right now.
Oh, fun. Are they opening back up for you guys out there in California?
Yeah, for the most part they are. They can only lock us down for so long.
Yeah, no kidding, huh? It's crazy times. How's your hand healing up from the previous fight?
Well, I broke it before the previous fight.
Oh, wow.
About 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I broke it about 3 weeks before the fight. It's doing all right. I don't notice it most of the time. I'm still not punching with it, but I'm grappling. I'm doing everything else.
Cool. How's Team Quest going? You guys?
Oh, Team Quest is doing wonderful. They're doing. I mean, we've got such a strong team, and then with Dan Henderson, leading the helm, it's just we're nothing will stop us.
Yeah. What's it like training with Dan Henderson, man? He's an absolute legend.
Yeah, he absolutely is. He's the guy that no matter how good I think I am, he's there to humble me. He's there to make sure I know I know he's the man.
Is he officially retired, or does he plan on competing anymore?
No, he's officially retired. If somebody offers him a whole bunch of money, I'm sure he'd come out of retirement, but it would need to be a bunch of money.
Yeah. Well, he's done enough, man. There's nothing else that Hendo can do. He's freaking the Mount Rushmore of MMA fighters, in my opinion.
Oh, he is. He's about as good as he gets, and he's done everything, beaten everyone. He's just best in the world.
Did you have the nickname Smiling before you went to Team Quest, or how long?
Yeah. We had it from almost the beginning. I don't remember who said it first, but I think it was my dad. But yeah, I've been Smiling Sam long before I came to Team Quest.
That's awesome. That's a good nickname to have, man. Spreading the positive energy. Your smile is infectious. Do the kids have it too? Do they get the genetic smile?
Yeah, I think I get it from my mom. My mom and my dad both say that they gave it to me, but I think it's more my mom's.
That's funny. Do you have a next opponent lined up yet, or what's the plans?
No, I'm really not even looking at anything until I can start training, until I can start sparring full force. Once I can start, punching with my hand again, doing everything, then I'll start finding another one.
Yeah. How's your contract with the UFC going? Are you will you be fighting for them, or is it Bellator, or what's next?
Yeah, no, I'm going to be competing with the UFC for as absolutely long as I possibly can. I love the organization. They're about as good to me as anyone could be, and I hope to be good to them for a long time coming.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I look forward to your next fight for sure.
Oh, I thank you.
So how did you get into Temecula? You're from Wisconsin, is that right?
Yeah, from Wisconsin. I kind of beat everyone up in Wisconsin. It was actually my wife, my then girlfriend, who's now my wife. She made the determination I needed to train somewhere else. So she did all the research. She had it kind of nailed down between our American top team in Florida and Team Quest out in California. And we started driving south, and Team Quest, emailed us back first. So we took a right. And,
wow.
we haven't looked back.
Wow, that's crazy. That's really cool.
Yeah. I wouldn't be here without my wife, and she's just one good decision after another.
That's awesome, man. Shout out to your wife. Good partner to have. So how long have you been with Team Quest? It's been several years now, huh?
Yeah, I think I'm at 9 years now, or it's either almost 10 or almost 9. But yeah, I've been there for a while now.
Awesome. So I can't remember correctly, but you and is it Ryan or Jason Spann, your last opponent?
Ryan Spann,
yeah. I think you won that fight. Doesn't matter what I think, but you guys were technically the first fight with no crowd, right? Is that right?
We were and I was the first one in the octagon. I've got over 70 fights, and I've never been the first opponent, and I was, and it was very cool. I like to say I officially started, ended the quarantine. I officially started the world's economy.
Yeah.
We were the first fight of the night, first fight of the world.
I remember that night. I was like, man, that's got to be a crazy feeling for Sam. He's going in there as the guinea pig for everybody. No crowd. That's a super strange feeling, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've done it once before. It's kind of the nice thing of having so many fights. I've done everything before. When I fought in The Ultimate Fighter, we fought in Mandalay Bay to win the fight to get into the house. And it was an even bigger arena with even fewer people in it.
Oh, really?
So I got the chance to do it once before. But it was still pretty cool.
Was that did that play effect in when they booked you for that fight, or was it just a coincidence?
No, there was no effect on anything. They just offered a fight, and I could have fought in front of 1,000 angry fans, and I would have said yes.
What's your favorite place to fight?
Mexico City. That's been my favorite place. I fought there twice, and I just love the city. Love being down there. The hotel was wonderful, and the fight fans were just incredible.
That's cool. I've never been there. That's high elevation too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like 1,000 feet higher than Colorado than Denver.
Wow, that's where I'm at. Jesus, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's got to take a toll on you quick.
Oh, I trained for it. I trained right for it. I never really felt the effects of the altitude, but the fans, I love the fans out there.
Yeah. So if you could pick your next opponent, who would you pick?
I'd say John Jones because he's the champ, but he's retired or something now. So whoever the champ is, that's who I'm going to pick.
All right. Fair enough. Well, I'm going to jump into the 6 questions because I don't want to hold you guys up. Family time is the most important.
Oh, I appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate you taking time, man. It's awesome.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Number 1 is what movie can you watch over and over and not get tired of?
I'm kind of a movie guy. I love movies, so I can watch most movies over and over again. Lord of the Rings, that's one that you can watch it whenever, and that one's always good. Star Wars, though, probably takes the cake. I've watched all of the Star Wars, 1,000 times each, and they just keep getting better with age.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Great choices. Yeah. What did you think of the latest 3?
I loved them. I loved all 3 of them. I thought the second one was the worst of the 3, but I still thought it was a really good 3.
Yeah. You like the way it ended?
I did. I thought it was great. People like to whine, and in the age of the internet, they all have a platform to whine on. But I thought it was a great conclusion.
Yeah, I agree. I was a little skeptic my first time watching it. Then I went back and saw it again with my brother and his wife, and I was like, man, I really enjoyed it. That was a really cool movie.
Yeah, I had so much fun with it. I would have liked to have seen something else done with Snoke, as opposed to just kill him off like he was nothing. I would have liked to have seen something with that, as opposed to rehashing the Emperor. Right. But that when he shoots that, spoiler alert, when he shoots that a lightning bolt up in the air at the end, it was just, heart-stoppingly cool. It was brilliant.
Yeah, the whole Snoke thing, you can definitely tell the different writer-director. J.J. Abrams and the other guy.
Yeah, that other guy. And they spent the first hour of episode 9 just kind of undoing everything of episode 8. Yeah. But episode 8 was it was fun to watch. It was still a fun Star Wars story.
Right. I think if Abrams could have had all 3 of the movies, the whole Snoke thing would have probably played out a lot stronger and had more of a purpose.
Yeah, I think so too.
But that's even more credit to Abrams, man. He pulled out a good movie after trying to pick up all the pieces of everything that was scrambled from his previous movie.
Yeah, he took everything everyone complained about, and he did away with it, or made it a way that fit a little better.
Yeah, I think it was Rian Johnson. That was the guy. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I can nerd out on that stuff all day. Quick question: favorite Lord of the Rings character?
Gotta go with Gandalf. He just has all the good one-liners. Yeah. Wizards are never late. I use that. I say that 2 or 3 times a week for various things. Wizards never late.
Yeah, I was late today, so I should use that as well. I appreciate you being so flexible with my time.
Oh, absolutely, my friend.
All right, number 2. What's the best practical joke that you've played on someone or that was played on you?
Back in college, I had a buddy. He would always park in the 10-minute parking spot. It was actually a trick I showed him. I said, listen, nobody ever cares. You just park there, you'll be fine. But he started doing it all the time. Every time. So I on sheet of paper, I wrote out a fake ticket for him. And I just like, hey, we've caught you doing this time and time again. We have the cameras on you. It's $1,000 fine, and it's due, by the end of. And he freaked out. I mean, I never corrected him even. I had him take that fake piece of paper to the desk, to the office, and he was like pleading his case, and they had no idea what he was talking about. So he told the office what he was doing, how he was doing, how he was so sorry he was doing it, and he couldn't afford the $1,000. And it was really funny. It was perfect.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's my favorite one so far. We're in episode 8, so you got the title for it. I love it. Number 3, what song do you have to sing along with if you hear it?
Anything from the movie The Greatest Showman. Anything from that movie.
I've never seen it.
It's such a good movie. I mean, is
that Hugh
possibly my favorite. Possibly, yeah, Hugh Jackman. Possibly my favorite movie ever. It's between The Matrix and The Greatest Showman. Just love it. So any song from there, I'm belting away with. I'm also a '90s country fan. Anything from the '90s, I could sing any song written in the '90s. I could just sing it word for word. Yeah,
that's cool. All right, The Matrix. Are you a conspiracy guy, or are you just like the movie?
I just like the movie. I thought they were great.
Yeah.
Not as good as Star Wars, and the second 2 Matrixes may try. They were far worse than the first one. But they're still such good sci-fi action movies.
Yeah, I just watched The Matrix again recently for the first time, and probably since it came out, man, that movie is incredible.
Oh, it is, and it holds up. The graphics still hold up. The direction still holds up. It's a movie that holds up.
Yeah, even the subject of it is super mind-blowing and intense.
Did you know that the Terminator series and the Matrix series are all in the same timeline?
Are they really?
Yes, they were all stolen from a book, and the lady actually won her lawsuit. She sued I think it was the Wachowski brothers, or sisters now, I guess. She sued them because they stole. But yeah, it's all Terminator and Matrix, all stolen from a book written in the 70s or 60s or something.
Oh, wow.
A lady who wrote the book won the lawsuit and everything.
Damn, that's crazy. I have to check that out. I'm big into all that kind of stuff, so I love those kind of facts. Could do an episode just on that.
Yeah, it's Neo is just a future John Connor, a future bloodline of John Connor.
Yeah. Wow. It's a game changer. They're ready to go, huh? Number 4, what is something that really irritates you?
Wearing masks ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty firmly not doing that. Yeah, counting that. Boom.
Yeah, dude, I'm right there with you, man. I had to wear one yesterday to get a haircut, and it was just so ridiculous. But
oh man, I had to wear one. Our church finally opened. I can't believe that they ever closed down, but our church opened, and our church required masks. And I wore it the first day, and I'm just listening online now. I don't want to do it.
Yeah. That statement alone is bizarre, man. Our church just opened back up. Like, where are we? What time are we living in?
I was the guy. I thought there were 2 things American you can push us around on a lot of things. I was church and guns were the 2 things that we wouldn't take. We wouldn't be pushed with. And they said churches have to close. We just folded. I mean, like immediately. It was crazy. I was like, what is that? There was no even second talk about it. We just okay, we're done. And that was at least we still have guns. I don't think they can push us with guns.
Yeah, that's not going to be one they're going to want to do for sure. That's not going to end well.
Yeah.
Number 5, what is an item in your home that is sentimental to you for your own reasons?
Sentimental for me for my own reasons. I've got guns. I've got a lot of guns, and each one has a little special story for me. So that's probably yeah. I love my guns. I love where I've gotten them. I've got a side-by-side English style double barrel, and I won that. No, my dad won that in a gun raffle. It's like an $800 gun he won for $20. So
man, that's awesome. Yeah. I've never won a gun raffle. That's awesome.
No, yeah, he won the gun raffle, and then I own a Traeger grill. It's a $1,200 grill smoker. I won it for $40 in a raffle.
Whoa.
So that one,
Dude, that's
that
amazing.
one, I use that one all the time. I only use
Yeah.
the guns so often, but I use that one all the time.
Yeah. Damn, that's awesome. That's some good winning. Let's see, number 6, last one. What accomplishment are you most proud of?
My house. I mean, I've had to bend over backwards to be able to get the house, especially here in Southern California where it's so expensive to live. But I've been able to sacrifice my body, win enough fights, do well enough for myself that I've been able to buy my house here in Southern California. And I'm very proud of myself and my wife and our family for being able to do that.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome, man. I'm in my first home that I've ever owned as well. It's a
Yeah.
hell of it's a great feeling, man. You know you're working for something that is going to last forever and house your children.
Yes. Something that if I want to, I can pass it on to my kids. Even it's something they can't take from me.
Yep. All right, man. I'm gonna let you go. Anything you want to plug for our listeners to where they can find you, support you?
Yeah, I tell you what, I've got a website. It's smilemma.com. If y'all can go to smilemma.com, at the top there's a little link. Plug in your address or your email address. We'll send you out a packet of information. We'll email you a packet of information. I'm doing a fundraiser right now for the foster system. I'm a foster daddy. We're working on adoption right now, but we're always going to be opening our home for future foster cases. And as hard as this whole virus, this quarantine, and everything has been for us, adults, the foster system, the foster children in the system have taken a hit. And so I'm doing a fundraiser right now for just trying to raise some money, raise awareness, raise some love and support for these foster babies that just can't help the situation that they're in and the situation that the country's in. And you can get all the information on my website. It's going to be a fun little challenge. It's called the #MakeMeSmile challenge. We've got the first place winner of whoever makes the funniest little clip. He's going to have $1,000 Amazon gift card coming their way. And the second place will be $500. Then we're going to have like $700 or $800 prizes as well.
Wow.
So there's some money in it too. And we're looking forward to seeing the results and really raising some awareness with the foster system.
That's awesome, man. Thank you for doing that. You and your wife, that's a great thing to do for the community, and I really appreciate that. I know that's not easy. I grew up with families that were doing that around.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's difficult, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Sometime I'd like to get you back on and go in more depth about that because that's a very interesting subject.
Yeah, let me know when and we can do it.
Cool, man. Thanks for taking the time to come on. I really appreciate it. Go have fun with the family, and I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thank you very much, sir. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
Bye. Let it kick on for a second. All right, we're back. No Limits with Willy, episode number 8, the part 2 of number 8. I had Sam Alvey on earlier. We're going to extend it. He was cut short on time, so the man, Eli Knight, Professor Eli Knight, is coming in. It's an honor to talk to him. Been a fan of his for a long time. Welcome to my podcast, Eli.
Well, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. It's an honor to talk to you, man. I've been watching your videos for a long time now. I'm a jiu-jitsu nerd, and your videos and the pace that you do them in is just like perfect for my mindset. And some videos, I'm not going to call it anybody. I'll say Ryan Hall, but Ryan Hall has great videos, but he talks a little slower, and he takes a while to put it out. But for your content style, man, it works perfect for me. I love it. I can watch your videos all day long on loop.
I try to, I kind of appeal to people with the same kind of attention span as I have. Yeah. So I try to give kind of a Cliff's Notes version of things. And those were the ones I liked to watch, were the ones that had just kind of the spaghetti theory. You just kind of throw it out there and see what sticks for somebody. So if I show 5 or 10 for something and do it kind of quick pace, then, I figure that's about the right kind of instruction for the medium. I mean, it's, I don't feel like going off onto a big long Danaharian explanation about something on a YouTube video. That's, you buy a full length instructional for that kind of stuff,
Right. Yeah, your videos are perfect, man. They're to the point, but they're very informative. There's a lot of details. You catch all the little angles and everything. It's awesome to learn from. And there's so much content. Like, I feel like one person can, maybe a black belt, but people like me that are at the early stages of jiu-jitsu, you can never learn everything that you teach. There's so much stuff to learn. It's awesome.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, and so I'll go back and catch a video of mine or something that somebody commented on, and then I've forgotten I made the video, and then I'll go back and like, I don't even teach that detail anymore. That was
You froze on me there for a second. What was the very last part?
Just about the details of it, just about forgetting stuff that I've already done. And I get a little paranoid sometimes that I'm going to show something that I've already shown before, or I'm worried to show something I've already shown. And then I can't even remember if I have shown it or not. So I'm like, well, I guess I might as well redo it in case, other people haven't kept up with me more than I've kept up with myself, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I've heard like guys that have been in martial arts for a long time, been teaching it for a long time. They'll say stuff like they've learned techniques. They've learned more techniques and forgotten techniques than most people have learned techniques. And I can totally see that with jiu-jitsu.
Oh yeah, it's easy. It's really easy to do. Oh, for sure, because everybody has their certain game that they're working on right now. If I go in, right now I've before that was more leg locks and certain things like kind of wax and wane, and I'll go more heavy into the self-defense and the striking sometimes, then go more into the gi, then go, so it's all over the place, which is great. I mean, because it keeps you energized and excited about training. I think if anybody sticks around and starts training and stays training for a long time, it's not just that they have to stay in love with the part that they started with. It's that they have to find new avenues. They have to find like different aspects of it to keep them entertained, because you hear all the time about people hitting plateaus and getting burnout and stuff like that. It's like, man, there's too many aspects of jiu-jitsu for that to ever be an excuse in my book. If that's the excuse, you're not looking outside the box. You're not being creative enough. It's put yourself in uncomfortable places, not just physically in training, but in psychologically. It's like I don't like this part of the game, but I'm going to make myself focus on it and then see if I can come around to understanding it better. Or go to a seminar or watch someone else's material, or just it's there's too much out there, man. I don't understand. I don't understand people that get burnt out of training. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I think it's more excuses than burnout. Burnout is just an easy way out for them to say that they're hitting plateaus and stuff. I've been training on and off since 2013, and I'm
awesome.
Very consistently inconsistent, unfortunately, but I'll never get tired of it. I love it. When I do slip away and go train, I get the grit is high that night. I come back in a better mood. I treat my kids better, my wife better. It's just like an endorphin boost. It's just that's something I highly recommend to everybody. Man.
Yeah, that's what we're supposed to get out of it. Because we don't have an urgency. Most of us don't have an urgency that every day that we leave our house, we're worried about getting into a violent altercation of some kind. Right. So, that can't be your sustaining motivation for training. It for the people it is, man. I feel sorry for their lifestyle. That's rough. But training should help us on a wide variety of things. Whether you're into the competition aspect, whether you're just recreational hobbyist, whether you're whatever. I don't think that it's hard for me to make sure that this doesn't need to be qualified more, but nobody's jiu-jitsu reasoning for training is superior to anyone else's necessarily. You know what I mean? We're all going for the benefit. And if it helps you, you're getting just as much out of it as anyone else for any other reason. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, that's well said. It's a good way to look at it. There's just so much you can gain from it. I do it for mental therapy and physical exhaustion, and I definitely get that every time, and I love it. And the camaraderie, man. I've met so many good people in jiu-jitsu. Some of the best people I've met in my whole life. Been around for 36 years now, and I've worked a lot of different jobs, but nothing compares to the friendships I've built at jiu-jitsu academies. It finds the best people.
I think that's a huge thing right now too. If you think about the current state of things right now in the country, just to bring this into kind of like current times, and to bring this into like, topical things. I've talked to so many people that you get on the mats and everybody's pretty equal, I mean, and we try to pretty carefully regulate the topics, and people are going to talk, and people are going to discuss things, and people are going to debate things, but it's like you're there and you're on the mat, and I'm training with I've got white friends, black friends. I train with my Indian friend today. I mean, we come from different backgrounds, from different economical statuses. We come from different religious backgrounds. We come from everywhere else. But we get on the mat, we're all pursuing the same kind of thing and trying to better ourselves with the same device. Then it really brings about a level of humanity that we can all kind of get along on. Even if when we step off the mat, it's like, I don't believe what you believe about this certain thing, or I disagree with your political views on this certain thing. It's like, while we're there and we're training, we're just a couple of humans out there knocking it out, and we're brothers there for that moment. We're brothers and sisters there for that moment. That's a beautiful thing that I think that more people need to have in their lives. I think when you don't have something like that, that's when you really start to perceive people more as other, and that's where the root so much turmoil, so many problems come from right now, man. I'm not trying to get all preachy or soapboxy, but it's because it's what you said, man. You make some of the best friendships and relationships, man. It's really important. People need that in their lives, because if they don't have it, they start to get up in their head, and that's when they really start to dissociate from the rest of humanity,
Yeah, definitely. That, and all the good side of it, as far as taming like egos, man. It's the most ego taming sport there is, or discipline you can get into, because you cannot have an ego going into jiu-jitsu. You could think you're the greatest thing ever. You walk in there, row with a purple belt, and then you'll get spanked and put back to reality. And not even in an aggressive way for anybody who doesn't train and is scared to go start training. Jiu-jitsu guys never try to hurt you. They'll control and very how should I put that? They should very controllingly put you in your place in a humbling way, and help you grow from there if you have a bad attitude.
Well, I mean, they try to hurt you, but it's not like
controlled hurt.
It's not like malicious. Yeah, there's no like malintent behind it, and it's and it really is. It's the most cliche thing in the world, but to compare it to like chess, it's the part that's a kind of a cliche maxim about jiu-jitsu, that it's like chess, but if you really examine one of the most important facets of that comparison, that analogy, is that you only go to checkmate. And checkmate, like when you think about it, checkmate doesn't mean that you killed the king. You don't kill that last piece. It's you get there, and the other person's forced to surrender because they have nowhere to go. And that's exactly how it's like that. When you're caught, you tap. I mean, you're caught in that arm lock, you're caught in that foot lock, you're caught in that choke. You tap to show submission, to show like, you got me, and you win this round, and you bested me on a technical level, and physical level. So that's the cool part about it.
That's a cool way of putting it. Yeah, I love chess myself, and jiu-jitsu. They go hand in hand. Are you a chess player as well?
Not a good one. Not a good one at all. I don't play regularly or consistently. I've gone through different, stages in my life where I have, and I taught my daughter not long ago. I was working with her on it, trying to teach her and everything. But it's it's one of those things that I have that absolute highest admiration for, and respect the hell out of people who are great and world-class players. And I've read a lot of Josh Waitskin's. I don't know if you've read much of his stuff, man, but it's absolutely fascinating.
I don't know how to read, technically.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that's but you can listen to his audiobooks.
There you go.
but he absolutely brilliant. Oh, you froze on me. Am I frozen on you? Oh, you good? Okay.
Yeah. But it keeps doing every minute or so.
Yeah. Zoom technology is wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, Josh Waitzkin has written some absolutely brilliant stuff on it. Of course, he was a high-ranking grandmaster chess player. He was who the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer was based off of, and he was also the person who really helped Marcelo Garcia get established in New York and really get his online presence going and everything. And he's that guy's absolutely brilliant. He's actually a black belt under Marcelo now. So
Oh wow.
He's got a fascinating history if you get a chance to read any of his stuff. He wrote a book called The Art of Learning. That's a phenomenal book.
I've heard other people talk about that book highly. Marcelo Garcia is one of my favorites as well. That's a guy that's hard not to like. Are you still there?
I can't imagine what kind of monster you'd have to be. Yeah. I can't imagine what kind of monster you'd have to be to not like somebody like Marcelo, you know. What kind of person would not like that guy? You know, him and Bernardo Faria. Like, how could you not like those people?
Yeah. Is Bernardo a black belt under Marcelo?
I believe he is. I'm pretty sure that he got his black belt from Marcelo.
Okay.
I'm not sure
about that.
I know he trained with Marcelo for a very long time, and I'm pretty sure he got his initial black belt from him. I'm not sure if all his rank comes from him, but
Yeah.
he was up there in New York training with those guys.
And you're a Hoist Gracie black belt, that's right?
Right. Yeah, I'm a second degree under Hoist.
Yeah, that's incredible. So, how do you feel about all the stuff going on right now with the police, man? Is it you feel like, I'm sure you have a lot of law enforcement that train with you. Most academies have a lot of guys in there.
Sure.
Do you think it should be mandatory that police officers learn jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, I'm going to be biased to say that, but it's police have insufficient training in a lot of ways, and it's I don't know whose fault that is. You know, I mean, I don't think it's the cops. I mean, I think the cops, like everybody else, they want to do their job the best they can. I truly believe that the majority of cops want to do that the best they can. Now, there's definitely cops are human though, and I think that's what a lot of people are losing sight of, that they're humans, and humans are inherently flawed, and they're going to take those flaws into whatever that they do. You know, I mean, and if there's a racist cop, it's a racist human, he's going to be a racist cop, and he's going to do things differently. He's going to be a detriment to the uniform, to the badge. You know, I mean, I think that those are the extreme minority of police officers that are out there. There's definitely cops that are beasts. There's definitely cops that are going to take advantage of the position of power that they're in. But I think that and then there's definitely cops that have spent a career being very frustrated about the things that they have to encounter, being very psychologically impacted by the things that they have to encounter on a daily basis. You know, I mean, I talk to my friends about the stories of things that they have to experience, and it's a horrific job. You know, I don't think that cops, I don't know, I've got a lot of feelings about it, and I'm nobody to have, too many opinions or whatever, but it's, I think that there's a lot of them that it's a lot like medical professionals. You hear about doctors working these ridiculously long shifts with no sleep and with all this stress and everything else. And cops are dealing with extreme stressful situations, like in constant, even if I'm a hugely crime-ridden part of the city or the country or whatever, you have to maintain a certain level of constant vigilance and hyper awareness as a police officer that is stressful. I mean, that's taxing on anybody to have your head constantly on a swivel for everything. And now more than ever too, they're dealing with, there's a lot of cops that they're scared they're reluctant to use any kind of force, because they're, especially when they're in a situation where, it's like you're being recorded constantly, your own body armor is recording you, somebody's recording you with cell phones, everybody has a camera on you. And if you don't do and behave exactly the right way, or if you do anything that can be interpreted or accurately or inaccurately as an abuse of power, you're going to be put on blast for the whole world to see. And you're going to be under scrutiny, and your department's entire institute of police are going to be under scrutiny. So I have the deepest sympathy of them. That doesn't give anybody that wears a badge any free pass to abuse their power or to do anything that is illegal, just because they operate on a different side of the law than regular citizens do. But it's a really complex thing, man. And I think it's way too easy for somebody that watches a video of a police officer doing a horribly heinous thing that could be interpreted as racist and say, well, cops are inherently corrupt and inherently racist, and there's a systemic racist issue going on in law enforcement, and we need to, take whatever drastic measures there are, and then on the other side of it, it's very easy to have the sympathy for.
I lost you there for a second.
But it has to be a very nuanced conversation. So I was just getting to the point that it has to be a very nuanced conversation if anything's going to be accomplished by it,
Yeah. It really ties into what you're saying earlier too about jiu-jitsu and how you look at people as the other when you don't train like that and you're not training with a variety of different people. That's why I wish everybody would train jiu-jitsu, man. It's just such an eye-opener to everything. It's so humbling. It makes you respect other people. You're simulating killing each other all the time and neutralizing each other. And then you learn a lot. You build a lot of trust with people that you train with like that. And you get a tighter bond than you do with anybody else, man. It's just a great thing for people. And all the police officers that I've trained with, I'm sure you've trained people, and they all want the best for, let's see, for everyone else. And this small percentage of jackasses that are running for everybody, for cops to have to deal with that is just horrible, man. I can't imagine being a cop these days.
Oh no, man. Yeah, it's I've got some really good friends some really close friends that are police officers. I've got a really good city cop friend. I've got some good SWAT friends. I've got a really good friend that's a state trooper. I have some like in-state, out-of-state, and it's horrible, man. I've got a friend that's a cop in Washington, D.C. right now, and the stuff that he has to deal with on a daily basis, and he's black, and so that's a whole nother element of it.
Right.
This guy is one of the biggest sweetheart of a dude in the world. He looks like a freaking tank, but he's a sweetheart of a guy, but he's a fantastic police officer. He's out there, he's extremely intelligent. He's policing the way that I feel like police need to operate, and he's doing his very best. And he's still getting, people in his face, calling him all kinds of names, like shouting him down, protesters that are becoming increasingly more hostile and taking all their aggression out on him as a representation of it, and it breaks my heart for those kind of people having to deal with that. And, I think the biggest part of this whole thing comes from just a lack of people's ability to have empathy for other people, and to realize that this person over here is charged with this kind of thing, is responsible for this kind of behavior, and they have to conduct themselves in a certain kind of way, and how difficult that is sometimes. And to also realize too that if you saw a dozen videos of police brutality, then you would start to formulate the opinion, after a while. You see enough of a recurring behavior, and you start to develop a prejudice. You start to develop a stereotype, and that's how stereotypes and prejudices come about. And sometimes stereotypes happen because a behavior by a group of people is repeated, and you start to see a pattern emerge. And that's how we start to develop stereotypes, I think, a lot of the time. And, but you have to realize though, like, it's difficult for people to see that over and over and over again. If I saw somebody like that wears a t-shirt with bananas on it, and I saw 12 videos of somebody wearing a t-shirt with bananas on it, like going around and kicking puppies, then I would start to formulate somewhere in my shirts hate puppies, And does that I don't know, that's a weird analogy, man, but it's we really make some strange constructs in our head whenever we start to see things and take the part for the whole. That's a big difficulty, I think, that we have as humans.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there's a lot of programming going on too, to not help the situation at all with the media and everything else that's out there, trying to ruin the system for everybody. Because
Absolutely.
you and I both know a lot of people, and I would say probably maybe a couple that we know that we would consider maybe racist, but that are just old school mentality or something. But the majority of people we know are not racist, and even the ones that we do know would still do anything for other people. It's not. I don't think racism is nowhere near as bad as people are saying it is. I think the media is spinning it that way and trying to make it more than it's not, just to divide us. But that's a subject for another podcast.
No, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. Yeah, we can definitely go down a long rabbit hole with something like that. But I think that it is. I truly believe we live in a way less racist time in our country's history than ever before.
Absolutely.
My worry about some of the things that we're seeing in the media, though, is like how much is setting us back. You know, how much is that ripping off scabs, you know, and like opening old wounds and, you know, pointing out things that were never considered racist on either side, but we're being told that we're supposed to see it as racist. And it's like, man, it's really scary, really unfortunate. But yeah, that's definitely a rabbit hole.
It is, man. That's actually the slogan for my other podcast, Truth or Theory, is "Are you ready to enter the rabbit hole?"
Nice. Yeah, good. So we got to plug that.
Yeah. With that whole situation though, man, I strongly believe if all media, all news, all electronics basically went out for 2 months, people would be so much tighter and stronger. The community would be stronger. There would be a much more of a bond, and people would realize that, hey, there's not as much racism as we thought. We're all in this shit together. We're all trying to make it. We're all on our own path, trying to do our own thing. And most people don't want bad things to happen to other people. They just want their life to go smooth, and the good people want to help others in the process.
Yeah, I'd like to believe that too, for sure. Yeah. It's really easy to find evidence to the contrary on social media, but I think that's how most intelligent people are, though, for sure.
Yeah. It's crazy times, man. How did you being a jiu-jitsu instructor, and you own your own academy, right? Knight Jiu-Jitsu?
No, I don't actually own my own academy. Knight Jiu-Jitsu is it's a moniker because I don't own my own academy. It's something I started using for a couple different reasons. I teach out of a place called Three Rivers Martial Arts, and that's here in Kentucky, where I live. And I'm the senior instructor there, but I don't actually own it. When I started in like 2011, I started, that was like around the time I got my black belt, and I started getting hit up for, you know, seminars and teaching, you know, offsite, and I started to get a little more involved with the digital side of things, like to a small extent. It didn't really start to like take off until about 3 years ago, but it was something that I started using that so that I could distinguish myself, not distinguish myself from, but to maintain kind of autonomy and make sure that I wasn't misrepresenting hoists in some way, you know. So like if somebody had me come in, everyone knows I'm a hoist Gracie. Well, for the most part, everyone knows I'm a hoist Gracie black belt. Anybody done any research, and on me if they know anything about me. But I don't want to portray it as like if I go to teach somewhere and I'm teaching a certain amount of material or a certain thing, that this is representative, or this is I'm working as an ambassador of hoist in this regard. Now, of course, the bulk of my jiu-jitsu over my entire lifetime came from hoist and the Gracie family. But I have different takes on things. I have different opinions I have opinions on certain things that I don't want to portray as their opinions if they don't hold the same ones. So for that reason, just as kind of a diplomatic stance, you know, and plus it's my last name, you know, so I just use that as the moniker to represent myself. And so if I'm going to make any kind of content or anything online, then, you know, I use it for that reason. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. You have a badass last name, man. I'm jealous. I thought it was a fake name for a while. I was like, that's really his last name. That's pretty awesome.
I'm happy with it. Yeah, and I'm happy with it, and you know, so I figure it's a good one to use for that.
Yeah, definitely. I love your logo too. Whoever designed that, or however y'all came up with that, did a great job.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I drew that in 2011. I sat down. I was experimenting with some different things, like chess pieces or suits of armor, or like what am I going to put for this? And you know, then finally I came up with it. And it's funny, I yeah, I drew it from scratch. Like I went through a bunch of different sketches and drew it, came up with it, kind of, digitized it and all that. And I got a custom gi made back in 2011 from the Firma Kimono company, who I'm still sponsored by today. And I sent them in the artwork for it. I made it, got it converted into vector files, all that stuff, sent it into them. They did some work for me. And, so then you was online and for different materials. And then about 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years later, I had somebody send me a message and say, hey, check this out. And it was like an animated intro for a video or something, for like a commercial for a place in Tacoma, Washington. And they were using my logo. Like it was, I forget the name of the place, but it was their motto was chess on the mat, and it was, they started, like, they just straight ripped off my logo online. Wow. And so, yeah, I was like, well, so I sent them an email and I was like, hey, I know that certain things like this happen sometimes, like you hire a graphic designer and they like steal something and give it to you, or they like take it and give it to you or something. But this is like 100% my they didn't even change anything. I mean, they didn't even try, and I was like, I can, where like back in 2011, I was using this logo already, and I have, the vector files, and I have an email correspondence and stuff. And so they quit using it. But it's like, I almost felt bad, like to shut them down like that, because I looked on their website and they had hosted like tournaments and stuff where they had trophies, belts, banners, all this stuff with that logo all over it. They had custom gis that they had that logo on. And I was like, dang, guys, like, that's, you got to do some research, man. You can't just,
no kidding.
But I mean, if they had hired a graphic designer and just trusted him to be honest and ethical about it, he just went online and ripped off a logo and came back with it. I guess it's hard to assume that there, somebody out there would ever really do that, but it was kind of a funny thing in hindsight.
That's crazy. My wife and I design logos too, on the side for fun. And
awesome.
Yeah, I have an eye for logos, man. When I saw yours, I was like, damn, whoever did that knows what they're doing. That's so cool that you did that. And I didn't realize you were in art too. Sorry, phone call.
Yeah, actually, it's all good. I actually went to university I've done art all my life, and that's what, from the time I was a kid, that's what I decided I wanted to do. Then when I got into martial arts a little later on, I was like, oh man, I really would love someday to like teach martial arts for a living. But I went to university for art, and eventually I changed majors to English, and I wound up graduating with like a technical writing degree. But during all that, I got into graphic design, and I got into a lot of other kind of stuff like that. So
that's so cool.
I don't really talk about it a whole lot, but I still do a lot of stuff like that. So
yeah, that's awesome, man. That makes me like you even more. Cool cat. Have you done any rash guards or gi designs with any other companies?
I've used a couple other companies, like for t-shirts and for rash guards. I've gotten stuff made through DeFirma. I have a couple of custom gis with DeFirma, and some custom rash guards and stuff like that. But I for like just selling at seminars and stuff, I've used a couple different places. I've used Combat Corner. I used another company I can't remember the name of right now. But just because they had maybe like cheaper, like whatever, and faster turnaround time. But I've come up with a couple different designs and messed with the suit of armor design and stuff like that, and but it's fun. I like to do that whenever I have the time to. It's just getting the time part.
It is very time consuming. And it's moody for me too, man. If I'm not in the right mood, I can't draw or produce what I'm trying to picture or anything. I'll come back to it 2 weeks later. I can't tell you how much artwork I have that's not finished. It's like halfway done.
Yeah, I get it for sure.
That's awesome, man. I'm a big fan of art. It's cool to find out a jiu-jitsu badass is an art guy too.
I think there's a lot of guys that are. I've met several people that into martial arts that they have like a you know, deep appreciation for all things kind of artistic, you know, because
Yeah.
I think in martial arts, it's a good marriage of like creativity and also physicality, you know, and
Hmm.
so it's a little different kind of way of expressing that. But yeah, I've met several guys that are kind of like that, so it's very cool whenever I do, like you said.
Yeah. Man, that, that Washington school that was ripping your logo off, you'd almost have to make them like an affiliation of your jiu-jitsu style if they want to keep it. You guys want to keep it,
Right? Yeah.
you need to go through my lineage. It's funny stuff. I can't
Maybe
believe that
that's how I should have
situation.
pitched it to him. Oh yeah, I'm such a bad businessman though that I was like, I had in my head, like whenever I saw it, I'm like, oh damn, am I gonna have to change my logo? And then I was like, wait a second, I'm sitting here. This school ripped off my logo. I know for sure because I drew. Because I even know the
Know
parts of
your
the logo I
lines.
don't like, and
Yeah.
I'm like, they didn't change a thing about it. Like they didn't even try it. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to like pursue this one. So, but
That's
yeah,
hilarious.
luckily, and you know the other thing too is like they had tried to actually use the company that sponsors me to get some custom gis made up at one point. And so I was able to contact like the people with them, and they kind of backed me up on it. So that was fortunate, you know.
Yeah. That's crazy. I remember when I was a really little kid, maybe third grade or so, I had drew the whole series of all the Street Fighter characters, and I had like a notebook full of them, and I was proud of them. I had them all colored up and everything. And some girl
Yeah.
stole them from me and claimed that it was her brother that stole it. I was like, wait, what?
Oh,
This is weird.
oh
This is such a weird
man.
situation to be in. Like, why am I fighting over my notebook of artwork? And
Yeah. And why
it was
is
a
she
big
trying to get her
ordeal.
brother beat up?
Yeah. It was so strange. I remember feeling so weirdly ripped off in that situation.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
can
I
only
get it for
imagine what you
sure,
felt
man.
like. That's a much bigger scale.
I understand that for sure, man, because like it's I remember yeah, like a couple similar things happened like that. I remember being in like middle school, and people knew me as the kid that could draw well and stuff. And so, you know, I would draw different things, and so then kids would be like, "Hey, will you draw? I'll pay you $5 if you draw this. I'll pay you 5." I'm like, "Hey,
Yeah.
this could be a career, you know."
Yeah.
And then um, I I've been doing martial arts I started doing martial arts, I guess, when I was a sophomore, and no, a freshman. And but then like right out of high school, I started working for an airbrush company, and so we were airbrushing T-shirts and license plates and whatever kind of other, you know, motorcycle helmets or whatever. And I remember like that was one of the most fun jobs, you know, that I ever had. You know, that was it was one of those things like where one of the first times in my life I was like, you know what, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I'm going to be an airbrush artist. You know, maybe someday I'll move to the beach and, you know, open up a shop down there, and, you know, I'm good to go, you know. And then of course the business shut down, and then I was like, oh man, maybe I should have stayed in college. And so
Yeah.
started going back and, you know, all that stuff. But yeah.
It's funny kids are paying you. I remember kids used to get me to try to draw naked women for them during the adolescent ages. Like, oh, draw me a picture of this woman.
Awesome.
As before
Yeah. That's hilarious.
pornography was so exposable
Yeah.
for everybody. We go
Yeah.
hide porn magazines in the woods.
Right. Yeah. Same here. When we were like 10, 11 years old, I remember, you know, there was always the kid who, you know, stole his dad's like porn stash, and,
Yeah.
and we would go out in the woods, and he was like, look what I got.
Yep, exactly. That's funny
Now
that went on all
that's
over
what
the
blows
United
me.
States.
Yeah, it is. Well, and it's funny because it's such a generational thing, because think about now, I was thinking about this the other day, and I was looking at my phone, and I'm like, there's like a private or like incognito tab on this. So it's like, not
Yeah.
only do any kid with a phone with a data plan have like immediate access to like
Anything.
all types of anything, yeah,
Mhm.
anything at all, they can also like explore it, and you can even like check up on them as their parent. You can even like, they've been looking at it, they just put it in a private tab, or they delete their browser history or something. And kids are way better at that these days than a lot of their parents are. So yeah,
Absolutely.
it's crazy. It's a very different time to be parenting right
It
now.
really is, man. And my wife and I are going through that right now with my stepson. He's at that age. He'll be 13 in a month or so. And man, we're constantly battling with that, with iPads and phones and all the stuff that's in the house, and
Sure.
setting passwords. And it's just such a, it's funny to me because I'm thinking about how we were when all my buddies when we were that age. And I'm like, man, this is so different. It's just so different.
Right.
It's such a hard thing to juggle around. But thankfully, I only have the one boy and I got 2 girls. But yeah, it's a mess, man. I was dreading it. My wife's dreading it too because it's so uncomfortable to talk about, and I have to do all the talking because it's a boy.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I was in some ways I was happy. I have one daughter, and I was very happy that I have a girl. You know, and obviously it comes with its own challenges for sure.
Yeah.
And she's a teenager now, and you know, so it's like there's all these other elements, and that's the thing about having kids is that you every year, every couple of years, it's a new set of challenges. It's not something you can ever adjust to and get used to. It's like, okay, well, this is how parenting's going to be. It's like, this is how parenting's going to be with an 8-year-old. It's very different than with a 10-year-old. It's very different than with a 12-year-old. But
that's
yeah,
very
man,
true.
it's a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point. There is no way to do like an instructional book or video on how to parent kids through each age because it's just constantly changing, man. And that's something I've been battling with too, because I'm so protective of my girls and don't want them exposed. So I watch what kind of cartoons they watch, everything. I don't want my kids being poisoned by all kinds of crap that I don't know about. So I'm always struggling with that with the kids. That it's just, man, I have to accept that we're in a different time period, and electronics is just part of their life, and I just have to monitor what's going on and be cautious of it. But accept that that's just going to be a part of their life. And kids are cyborgs nowadays, and they're half iPhones.
Yeah, it really is, and that's a good way to phrase it, man. Because like we are. I was listening to an interview with Elon Musk. It might have been the Joe Rogan one recently, where they were talking about, you know, we are essentially cyborgs. You know, I mean, we're so integrated with our technology that we're in so many ways we are cyborgs already, because they started talking about that Neuralink kind of thing and about, you know, what future integrations of technology and humanity is going to look like. And it's like, oh man, it gets kind of scary, you know, talking about AI and all kinds of just different things on the horizon.
Yeah, I have like a natural fear of technology, and I'm always, out of my generation, I'm always like the last to get into stuff. I was the last to get a smartphone, the last to get, my wife, it was my birthday last week, and I wanted just a watch, just wanted a regular basic manly watch that I could kayak with and hike in, and wouldn't matter, nothing fancy. My wife bought me a Fitbit, and I don't know anything about it. And it keeps going off my wrist. And I'm like, what the hell is this thing doing? Got a little light flashing in my wrist constantly. It's just creepy, man.
Yeah. Takes you 15 minutes to figure out how to get the time display on it, because it's telling you like your news feed. And
I'm just such a simple guy when it comes to technology, and it's a struggle, man. I fight her on everything, and she's like, she made fun of me about the facial recognition too. I was like, I'm never putting that on my phone. That's so creepy. And she had it on hers, and she's like rubbing in how fast she can turn her phone on and off and all this kind of stuff. And 6 months later, I'm doing it too. She's like, see, you changed it, now you're doing it.
Oh man, I mean, like it's like I've always really embraced, you know, technology and everything like that, and only until like recently, whenever you start hearing about government contact tracing and stuff like that because of like coronavirus, and it's like, oh. And then I saw the other day the things they're putting into airports where it has a scanner that will scan your temperature, and if you're running a fever, they're going to pull you out off to the side, and they're going to, you know, like start asking you questions about who you've been in contact with and everything. It's like, oh man, that I'm starting to get a little uncomfortable with this, you know. Now I'm starting to question a few of these things that I just blindly signed up with about facial recognition and, you know, giving all my bio data and everything. So it makes me a little bit technophobic whenever we start thinking about things like that.
Yeah. My wife and girls just, and actually all three of the kids, they just flew back to my in-laws in Iowa last week. And my youngest girl always runs kind of a bit of a high fever, like every few days. Her fever just kind of spikes, but she'll feel completely fine and normal. And so we had to call her pediatrician ahead of time and get like an excuse just for the airport, because that is an issue now. They
Oh yeah.
fever, got the mask on. Everybody's on high alert for COVID crap, and it's just crazy, man.
Oh man, it is. And yeah, people are very, very I mean like I better definitely have something bad before I go to the doctor right now.
Yeah.
I have a friend, his wife just went to get checked out. And I mean, honestly, it sounds like some bad seasonal allergies. But you know, she went to get checked out and she got tested for COVID, came back negative, and but the doctors were still like, well, you know, you're still exhibiting symptoms, and this could be a false negative, so you know, you still need to quarantine for 14 days. So you know, she's not showing, you know, she's not positive, so we established that she's showing symptoms. She doesn't have a fever, but she's showing symptoms. You know, so it's like, what are the symptoms? Like, you're coughing, you know, so
Everyday symptoms.
yeah,
You're alive.
you're coughing, you've got some watery eyes, you got a little congestion, so like you need to quarantine for 14 days away from everybody else, and then anybody that you've been in contact with needs to quarantine for 14 days. Oh man, that's a whole nother issue, man.
Yeah. How are you able to train and everything during all the crazy part of the lockdown? Are you just doing
I
solo
mean,
drills?
yeah, I mean, I was trying to do whatever I could. I mean, I didn't get to train a ton, you know. I mean, anybody that wanted to train, like I've got some friends that have either mats in their garage. I have some people who, you know, had access to their facility, you know, and so you know, if they were fine to train, I was fine to train, then we would train. But it definitely took a big hit, you know, and so I started doing, and you know, plus the gym was closed, so you know, working out was different. So it just had to kind of get creative, man. And you know, to be completely honest, I spent a lot more sedentary time than I'm normally comfortable with, because I don't, I get very stir crazy, and I get very like physically and emotionally restless whenever I don't get to train, or at least work out the way I like to work out. So I try to stay busy as much as I could with, you know, doing other things, trying to be like creative as far as content and everything like that goes. But it was a challenge, man. I mean, we're starting to kind of get a peek through the clouds right now and see some light at the end of the tunnel. But we opened up I guess almost 2 weeks ago on my, and we've been classes again, and it's going good. I think most everybody was ready to get back to training, and
Yeah, for sure.
we haven't had a lot of people, not a lot of people that were super reluctant to get back in, that were really worried too much about you know, any safety measures or whatever. But you know, we have you know, put some guidelines in place just to you know, make people a little more comfortable if there was any discomfort at all. But for the most part, everybody is just like, listen, can we just train? Can we just get back to training and rolling like we were? So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, the academy I train at up here in Colorado opened up. I think they're pretty much back to normal. I think there's still a few odd end rules that they have to abide by, but I need to get back in there too, man. I'm so bad about setting time aside to go train, and every time I go, I love it. I'm bad about having a schedule. That's why I'm forever going to be a white belt.
Oh, dude, no, I mean, I sympathize. I'm really bad about if I get out of a routine of something. If my schedule deviates, it's really difficult for me to.
I lost you there for a second.
I have a job, you know, where I teach, and so I have constant access to that environment. So, you know, training for the most part is never an issue for me during the week. I get to train plenty. I get to teach plenty. Because man, if I had a different job, like I don't know, I don't know what it would look like for me, because I'm very bad about setting schedules.
It froze on me when you were in the beginning of that. Do you do this full time? You're an instructor?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I teach pretty much every day, and mostly private lessons. I teach some group classes. So, of course, a lot since everything's been like it was, and now it's getting back to some kind of normalcy. But prior to the lockdown, I was teaching I think 7 or 8 group class, or no, maybe 6 to 7 group classes a week, and then about 10 to 15 privates a week.
Wow.
So that
A lot.
it's a pretty full-time schedule, yeah. And so but it's good. I mean, and then on the weekends, again, like whenever we shut down and everyone started canceling, I had seminars. I had about 9 seminars booked that I had to cancel or that were canceled because of either travel restrictions or lockdown restrictions, or just they knew nobody was going to come to it because everyone was in the height of the craziness and everything. So, but luckily, now I'm starting to talk to some people that, are looking at rescheduling, have me in. I've got, I think, 3 just in the last week. This is a good thing.
Yeah. I would imagine you would do well with seminars. A lot of people really like your content.
Yeah. I mean, they tend to go pretty well. I really enjoy doing it. I still like to travel a lot. And even though whenever I travel for a seminar, most of the time it's basically just like I travel, I go to the hotel, I maybe go to a dinner, and the rest of the time is just teaching, So it's not like when people hear it's like, oh, cool, you're getting to go to this city or that city. It's like, yeah, it's cool, but it's not like I'm going to be out sightseeing or anything like that. I'm going there. It's like vacation. I got to go. I've gone to Boston a few times now to film with BJJ Fanatics, and which sounds awesome. And it really was awesome. It was really cool to go to film with those guys. But it was like 10 hours of filming a day. So, I would get in there and the hotel and then wake up in the morning and go film maybe get dinner that night, so it's not like we really got to do a ton of sightseeing or anything, but we did try to carve out an extra day on one trip that we got to go do some things. So that was really cool. I try to do that. If my girlfriend gets to travel with me, she lives in a different state, but if she gets to travel with me, then we try to make it like as much of a vacation as we can, even if it's just like one day of us getting to do something. We're at least hanging out while I'm teaching and before and after and all that. But it's so fun though. I'm very lucky, man. I'm very fortunate to have this kind of lifestyle for sure.
Well, you put the work in to have it, so it's not like it was handed to you. Does your girlfriend train as well?
She does, yeah. She so I'm affiliated, which is a weird word to use, but I'm with a group called Fit to Fight, and Fit to Fight is a group that is headquartered in North Carolina, and she actually lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I met her through that group because I would go out there and train with those guys, and I would do seminars for them and with them. And she was just she trains out there all the time. She does they've got lots of different classes. They have a jiu-jitsu program, but it's not necessarily their main focus. It's just they have lots of different things, so everything from like kickboxing and even weapons, and they just have a very complete approach to martial arts and self-defense out there. And so I met her through that, and so I still frequently would go out there, and we developed a relationship, and then so she lives out in Charlotte, so I get to Charlotte as often as I can, and she gets here as often as she can, and if I'm traveling somewhere she can make it, then we do it that way. But and we've been doing really well with it. But long distance relationships are different thing, man.
Yeah, that's a tough thing for sure. If you can make it through that, you can make it through anything.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's the challenges that is presented to us. Like, it's made us appreciate the time that we have together, and the things that we do have, and it's made us look forward every time to like seeing each other. So there's not really a thing of where you get sick of being around the person whenever you're in a long distance relationship. Sometimes you can just see somebody like, and you haven't really gone anywhere separately, and you're with them, day and night, just like nobody else in them, and you're kind of like, I just need some alone time. So whenever most of your time is alone time, then you start to appreciate that other person a lot more. So.
Yeah, my wife and I were talking about that just a couple of weeks ago or so. They were like, man, everybody's talking about the quarantine and people are going to go after each other and there's going to be a lot of problems. And like, we've been stuck. I got laid off right at the beginning of the quarantine. So I've been home a lot, and she works from home. So we're like, man, this is gonna be bad. But we were like, we're doing pretty good. And then the next day we got into a fight.
Yeah, that's.
What we get
I
for
mean,
celebrating.
I think, right, yeah, and I think it's, I think a lot of couples have, even the best couples that they get along the most like wonderfully and have a great relationship, and they absolutely love each other and have a great family. Even, I mean, being in stressful times like that and being, just dealing with your separate stress and everything, it can really add up, man. I think it can really take a toll on you. I've been in great relationships where, just normal stress and everything of the day, it takes a toll. We definitely are, we're social creatures, but we also value our autonomy. So, it's interesting. It is really sad to hear though, about the rates of domestic violence and the rates of divorce and breakups and the rates of child abuse and the rates of substance abuse and alcoholism, just everything that during the quarantine times have just shot up. And that's really heartbreaking to think about.
It really is. It's unfortunate all these businesses and private businesses are struggling so much. That's financial stuff. Money is not the purpose of life, but it definitely will affect your life if it's out of the equation and you're not able to make it. It causes a lot of tension at home. My wife and I fight about the dumbest stuff too. Like we don't ever have serious fights that actually have any validation to them. The last fight we got into was over the dumbest thing too, and I can't remember. I think it was ordering something through a restaurant. It started off so dumb, but we laugh about it after it's all over because I'm like, I'll name the fight. Like, let's name this what started it. It's like a chapter in our life.
Well, that's the fights that you want to have.
Jackass.
Well, at least you accept that. And those are the kind of fights you want to have, I mean, like if you're going to have arguments, those are the kind of arguments you want to have, not like, I can't stand your religious beliefs. It's like you want to have arguments over like, I need you to start putting the toilet seat down, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, our stuff is always trivial crap like that. And usually most of the time it's for me because I'm just a pain in the ass. But my brother and I both admit that we're horrible to our wives. We're just jackasses, but they stay with us.
Good for them, man.
Yeah. We're not abusive or anything. We're just obnoxious mosquitoes. Do you watch MMA? Do you follow MMA?
Yeah. At least UFC. I don't keep up with a lot of the other organizations really closely. I'll occasionally keep up with Bellator and stuff like that, but I'm not a guy that has like a fantasy MMA league or anything like that. It's like I just know what I like to watch and I know what I like to watch for. So, but yeah, I'm a big fan. Though.
They just booked some fights the other day or finalized them. Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns. That's going to be a good fight. The welterweight championship. Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic, the rubber match. I'm excited about that one. Daniel's from my hometown, Lafayette, Louisiana. So.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm pro DC fantastic. Anytime.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love DC, man. Like, I like Stipe. Stipe's awesome.
I know they're both great guys. I hate to see either one of them lose.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, but my heart goes with Daniel Cormier too, for sure. Just such a phenomenal wrestler, man. Like that's what really bothered me the last time they fought. Was that he just stayed in the pocket and just like wanted to like just trade punches with Stipe. And I was like, man, I hate seeing that. I hate seeing when somebody is such a superior fighter in a certain range, but they're trying to prove a point. They're trying to like, and I don't know what the motivation for that was necessarily, but I do know that his corner was all over him for that decision, for that strategy. And they were like, trying to tell him to stick to the plan, but it was, it did kind of seem like that. It kind of seemed like, he was trying to prove something and trying to like make a statement. Yeah. And
recreate that first knockout.
Yep.
I think that's the biggest thing is his pride got caught up in that. He laid him out in the first round. So he thought he could do it again and was kind of frustrated that he wasn't able to do it. So he just kept going, and then caught some nasty body shots.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I'm very confident he's going to fight this last fight very safe. He's saying this is his final fight. There's going to be a lot of wrestling involved.
Yeah, man, I'd love to see it, man. I'm excited about that one for sure. Yeah, and I saw that, and then the Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns, I think it's going to be phenomenal too.
Yeah,
you know,
Gilbert Burns is impressive, man. Jesus.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. And not only he's such a high level jiu-jitsu competitor and still competes in submission only grappling events and in other like grappling events too, just like strictly grappling. I have tons of respect for anybody who does that, man. Like that's really awesome to see.
Yeah. I had Tyron Woodley's coach Dean Thomas on right before they announced that fight. So we didn't know at the time. Well, he knew, I'm sure. He couldn't say that Tyron had his opponent lined up. They were going into it and talking about the whole camp and everything, man. I did not think he was going to walk through Tyron Woodley that easy, man. He made that fight. He was just so aggressive and just like on fire that night. It was very impressive performance.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
And then Dustin Poirier, another hometown guy of mine, is fighting Dan Hooker, which is going to be another really good fight.
Oh, yeah.
That's coming up soon. That might even be next weekend or the weekend after that.
Yeah. Anytime the Poirier fights, man, it's like always, even if he loses, it's a good fight. Like it's, there's been flukes, but he's so tough, man. So tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to be good.
I would love to see him and Connor have a rematch. I'd like to see
I think so too.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, I mean it's it was clean. I mean it was but I don't think it would go the same way again. I mean it'd be cool to watch them have an exchange back and forth. And each have their kind of moments, because that's a great matchup. It's a great matchup in every way.
And I think it would sell well too.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody against Connor's going to sell well. Who was it that they were announcing with that Connor's fighting next? They were looking at for Connor's next. Shoot, I just read about this either today or yesterday.
Oh, really? Last I heard, he was trying to pretend to retire because they weren't giving him a match.
Right.
Is it Nate Diaz or
no?
Justin Gaethje, I think, is lined up for Habib.
Right. Yeah. I wouldn't doubt if they tried to either make the Conor and Habib rematch or give a horrible matchup to put Gaethje and Conor. But people would watch that. Like people would really love to see that. I'm really excited about Gaethje and Habib. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I am too. They should just do Conor, Habib, and Gaethje and just a triple threat match. Just throw them in the cage together.
Right, yeah.
Habib and Gaethje would just lay out Conor right away.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
They feel mutual.
Yeah, I think so. They would just tag team on that.
Yeah. Tag team MMA would be very interesting if they ever decided to go that route. I don't know how they would pull it off, but me being an old school wrestling nerd, I would love it.
Right, yeah. I know that'd be. They have run those. Like Chael Sonnen has done those submission underground tag team grappling matches, and I thought those were really, really interesting. It's a fun game. Just check them out. They did one, and some Craig Jones and Vinny Margulies, or it was Craig Jones and Nicky Rodriguez versus Vinny Margulies and shoot, I forget who else. I feel really bad whenever I forget somebody like that. But anyway, there's some really interesting ones though. It's really cool to see the way that it happens like that too.
They can tag in action. They can tag while they're in position.
They set it up similar to they set it up similar to they even have like the string, like that would be attached to the turnbuckle in pro wrestling, but they as long as you can get near your corner and tag out, the other person can come in. You have like you have to like get out instantly. I think you have to be out within a certain amount of seconds or whatever. You can't like double team the person or whatever.
Wow.
But
I got to check that out. That sounds crazy.
It is, man. Look up the submission under, like Chael Sonnen submission underground, whatever it was. It was, I think the last one was like a few months ago. So,
do you compete at all anymore? Or are you done with that?
I don't know what it would take to get me to compete again, man. Because like I've got, I nurse some injuries that keep me from, I train pretty consistently, and I feel like I train pretty good, but to get to competition level where I would want to be to performance wise, like I don't know what that would take. Not especially with my schedule the way that it is, as much as I teach and travel and everything. But so no, the last time I competed was maybe going on 3 years ago. I think about 3 years ago was the last time I competed, and I competed more at black belt than I did like the rest of my life. Like I never competed at purple belt. I competed at blue belt a few times, but there weren't a ton of tournaments. You had to go places because this was like, when I was a blue belt was like, 15, 16, 17 years ago, or more, I guess by this time. So, then I competed a couple times at brown. And then when I got my black belt shortly after, I started getting offered like, super fights just because I was a black belt, and so I would compete in those. And then I entered a couple of tournaments, a couple of gi tournaments, and then a handful of no gi tournaments. And then I got on a couple like pro cards, and but yeah, I competed more at black than I did. And I think part of it was like, for me getting my black belt, and I think a lot of people feel this way. It's like you don't want to have that imposter syndrome, so it's you're like, man, black belt, like I just got my black belt, like that's a big deal, or it should be a very big deal. Like, do I deserve this? Do I earn this? Like, really? Am I black belt level? And you want to go out and you want that validation, and of course you trust your instructor that promoted you, but at the same time it's like, man, it's hard to feel like worthy of that whenever you get it, so
yeah,
I got my black belt
in crazy.
It was 2011 when I got it, September 2011, and so I started competing a little bit more then, and I did pretty good. For the most part, I won more than I lost as a black belt. So it's like, wow. It was some validation for me. So I was okay with that. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm old and broken now, so
that happens in that martial art, man.
Yeah,
my instructors are the same way. Yeah, everybody gets back injuries, knee injuries. It's an abusive martial art to get into, especially how long it takes to become a black belt.
Yeah, for sure.
Who are some of your favorite jiu-jitsu figures out there and people that you like to watch compete?
Currently, man, I think it's hard to find anybody like that I like more than Gary Tonin. Gary Tonin is like, he's just, the pace he keeps, like his wrestling ability, like is just amazing. The seamless like integration of wrestling and jiu-jitsu that he has is one of the most amazing things to me to watch. Like it really is. I really like watching him. I like JT Torres a lot. I think that JT Torres is phenomenal. I like for better or worse, I like watching Gordon. It's hard not to argue that he's not the best, So to watch him, to watch how methodical he is, and I think is always incredible to me. I love watching him because he's such a big, strong dude, and really doesn't bring nearly as much of it to bear as he probably could. He's just extremely technical and has all that physicality as just reinforcement behind it, but never even has to like go into the reserves or anything. It seems like it's really, really cool to watch. I like watching very creative and innovative guys like Keenan. It's just to watch the kind of creativity they bring to the table. Craig Jones is another one like that too. And these are all the big name ones. Mikey Musumeci. I like it. It's pretty incredible watching like what he's able to do at his size, like whatever about it, but they had that like Cantero was putting up like $10,000 to like anybody of any weight class against Mikey Musumeci in a super fight, and
Oh, wow.
I really wish something to come of that, like to where like a heavyweight, like black belt and him would have matched up, because like there's just no, you can't submit him, you can't even pass his damn guard, and he has one of the most incredible inverted games and berimbolo games and back take games out there. But he can also finish people from everywhere. He can get on your back like nobody can, and he can finish. He's got like ridiculously good footlocks. I haven't seen him compete much no gi or at all no gi that I can recall, but his gi game is otherworldly. So yeah, there's a ton of them, man. I could go on forever about guys like to watch. It's it's a great time for jiu-jitsu, man. It is, man. Greatest time in history for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
If you had to choose, one of them was gone forever, gi or no gi, which would you go with?
I don't know. I prefer no gi. I like the gi game. I like having the controls, and I like having the attacks. Like as long as I can play offense, I prefer gi. But like if I have to like really play a fully well-rounded game and I have to be defending a lot, then I prefer no gi. So and I think I like both of them very closely, but no gi is probably it for me though.
Yeah, I'm a gi guy, man. I'm kind of a germaphobe, so I like that the gi absorbs a lot of other guys' sweat and the grossness.
Yeah, no, I get that for sure. I was talking to somebody about that the other day, because we were talking about, COVID and everything. And it's like, man, like I haven't changed any of my behaviors since the pandemic. I haven't changed anything. It's like I was always the dude that was always washing my hands and putting hand sanitizer, and like somebody sneezes, I'm going to like get way over here, but I developed the ability to kind of turn some of that off for jiu-jitsu a long time ago. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. I've got like 3 bottles over here next to me, but yeah, it's something that, after a while in jiu-jitsu, you learn to like at least mute that part of your brain just to be able to function,
Yeah,
but
exactly. You have to go kind of a survival mode.
Yeah, you do. And I think that's the thing, it's but I think that helps it a little bit too. But yeah, I'm like that anyway.
What's the grossest thing that's ever happened to you in jiu-jitsu as far as germs, body exchanges? I got a gross story.
Man, not like one thing. I mean, I've gotten other people's sweat in my eyeball. I've inhaled other people's sweat and, gotten their saliva on me. I've inhaled and swallowed pubic hair. I mean, it's there's been some gross stuff.
Oh, man.
It's like when you feel you got a hair in your mouth, and worse than that. Like I have a bad habit occasionally of like having gum in my mouth when I'm training.
Uh-huh.
And it's one thing to get a hair in your mouth that you're pretty sure is not yours,
Mm-hmm.
But when it gets in your gum, and you don't realize it. No, you don't realize it for a little while. And so then you're like, okay, I got a hair. And you pull it out and you see the hair sticking out of the gum. You're like, yep, I'm going to go like gargle with bleach now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
Man.
What's your story?
I remember the hairs for sure. Definitely get stray leg hairs in your mouth, hoping that they're leg hairs and not pubic hair.
Hoping they're like, yeah, exactly.
I've had a guy, a heavyset guy train with me that was brand new. The brand new guys sweat the hardest. They breathe the hardest. He was above me, and I was trying to get into like an X guard, and he was like kind of towering over me, and sweat came off of his chin right into my mouth, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to light myself.
Yeah, it's like oh yeah. Dude, yeah, there's no coming back from that. Like there's I had a guy that I trained with, bigger guy, heavy set guy, so damn hairy, and wouldn't always wear a rash guard under his gi. So it was like, bare-chested, hairy. And it's like, you remember that movie with Ben Stiller called Along?
Oh yeah, the basketball scene.
And the basketball scene, it was like that. He got like topside or something. I'm like, man, like it's just like all here. And it's yeah. You're like, man, is this really is this the sport for me? I don't I mean, maybe I need to reconsider this.
The worst stuff always happens with brand new white belts for me too, and it's like you definitely don't want to make them feel bad because you're trying your best to make them feel welcome and like, yeah, that's all. It's normal. Don't worry about it. It's normal. So I had to like completely keep my composure, even though I wanted to jump in a volcano. I was like, yeah, that's fine, dude. Don't worry about that. That happens.
Yeah, and that's a hard part too. Whenever it's a spazzy white belt or somebody that and they do something that hurts you. Like I caught a spazzy white belt, just ridiculously no reason that this knee should have ever come out of where it came from, and hit me right the bottom of my lip. And I remember having to like pull my lip with my tooth, because my tooth was stuck in my lip and pulling it off my tooth. And it's just like I was sitting there with my mouth filling up with blood, and he's like, "Oh man, I'm sorry." And I'm like, "Oh man, you're good. You're fine." Yeah, it happens all the time like that. Yeah, and meanwhile, I just really wanted to rip his head off.
Yeah, I know that feeling, man. I've taken some pretty crazy, gnarly bumps in jiu-jitsu from other people rolling next to me too. I even had my professor get like hip tossed or something by a judo guy next to me while I'm rolling with somebody else, and I was trying to fight out a side control, and his foot came down and like axe kicked me right in the face. I was like, "Whoa!" That woke me up.
Yeah, it'll wake you up or put you to sleep. One.
Yeah, that was pretty gnarly. And then when you get exhausted, you do a lot of stupid stuff too. I made some dumb mistakes being exhausted running drills, and me and this other heavyset guy were supposed to shoot and sprawl on each other, and we both kind of shot at the same time. Take a nasty little mark across.
Yeah, I've done the exact same thing. I still have a scar right here from that exact same thing. Yeah, I was shooting the same time as a buddy of mine. We just clashed heads, and his was angled down slightly more than mine was, so he caught me on the hairline. Mine was on the top of his head, so he definitely got the better of that exchange.
Yeah.
It cracked me open pretty good though.
Fun times. All right, Mr. Eli, we're going to do the 6 questions and cut you loose, man. I appreciate you giving me all the time you have already.
Yeah, man, it's my pleasure. I appreciate it. I enjoyed the conversation.
Likewise. All right, number 1, what movie can you watch over and over without ever getting tired
of? Fight Club. Yeah, I lost track of how many times I've seen that. I think Fight Club and The Last Dragon, both of those 2 movies, right? I can say both word for word, and I often, much to the chagrin of whoever I'm watching it with, they're like, "Can you stop, please? Like, you don't have to narrate this whole thing." But yeah, those 2.
Right before we started recording, I always listen to music as it leads up to the last 10 minutes, and the last song that came on was the Pixies' "Where's My Mind" from Fight Club.
Yeah,
very end.
Yes.
It's funny.
Yeah,
that's awesome. For a reason.
Yep.
Good choices. Number 2, what's the best practical joke that you've played on someone or that has been played on you?
Man, I was trying to think of that, and I'm not a big practical joker. Mm-hmm. And, I've got some pretty good friends that have never really played practical jokes on me that much, or maybe they're not good friends because they haven't played practical jokes on me. I don't know. But yeah, man, that was the one I was kind of stumbling on, man. I couldn't think of that. So I don't know, man. I hate to pass on any of them. I'm gonna still keep them while we're talking about the other ones, but man, that's tough to think about.
All right, how about that? I'll substitute a question from my other podcast for it. This one you can definitely answer. All right, if you had the opportunity to time travel one time there and back into the future or into the past, which would you choose and like which time period?
I could come back to present?
Yep, you only get to go there and come back one time.
Okay, man. Whew. Dang, that's a hard one too, man. Because as soon as you answer a question like that, you're like, damn it, that was I could have gone back and killed Hitler or something, but Yeah, I mean, I think I would probably choose to go to the future, though. You know, I think I'd probably choose to go to a period in time where we have, it's tough because like when you're talking about future time travel, now you're talking about, and I'm probably overthinking it, but I can't say like I want to go to the year 2072. I want to go to the period where we have already like gone to other planets, like colonized other planets. We've like, we've got like nanobot technology. We've got, you can go to the corner and get stem cells to like heal your body or something. Every kind of like conceivable medical, miracle is available to us. And we're basically living in the future, and we're like, we're what we perceive aliens as being an advanced race to be. Like that's us now. That's where I want to go to in the future, just so I can kind of have a glimpse of that.
Yeah, that would be nuts, man. Just think about how crazy it'd be to go 300 years from now. How different things would be. It's mind
because
blowing.
When you consider prior to now, and just every aspect of life back then, and how we would perceive that. Like, yeah, I couldn't picture the year 2320. That'd be incredible. But yeah,
it's crazy, man. That's crazy stuff. All right, cool. That was a good substitute answer and question for it. Worked out good.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
No problem. Number 3, what song do you have to sing along to if you hear it?
That's a little tricky too, because like it's there's so many, like I get kind of like I don't know if it's ADD or whatever, but it's like when a song comes on that I know it's going to be stuck in my head the rest of the day. If I hear it, it's going to be stuck in my head the rest of the day.
Mm.
But like ones that I actually have to like audibly sing along with, probably this song, like anything, all my life, like that's one of the longest running ones anyway. There's lots of them, but that's one of the longest running ones ever since I was like 10 years old, and that song came out. And anytime that song comes on,
it froze like right when you said the song. What was the song that you said?
Oh, it's It Takes Two by Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock.
Oh, okay.
I heard that song first time when I was 10 years old. Yeah, and it's something about it, man. Something about that song particularly like sticks out in my head. Of course, there's like 100 songs that are probably like that I have to sing along to when they come on.
Yeah.
But that's one that always like pops in my head like that. Or almost any Nirvana song, I think is like that for me too. Like I've got to sing along with it. But
I'm not a huge fan of that question. I might switch that one out soon. What kind of music do you like to listen to when you're exercising?
It varies. It varies a lot. But I think probably for the most part, I listen to hip hop more than anything when I'm working out.
I do too.
Or even training. I've been on a big Post Malone kick recently. Like I like Post Malone a lot, and but yeah, I mean, it depends on what kind of workout and training I'm doing. Because if I want something more fast paced and more upbeat, or something angry, or whatever, I'll listen to anything from like hip hop to like punk music. Like it's all over the place.
Does it seem like you listen to different music depending on if it's weightlifting or cardio or jiu-jitsu type training?
Yeah, for the most part.
When I'm doing jiu-jitsu, I always want to have something more mellow and flowing. Like it's not aggressive, but like I like hip hop.
Yeah, when I'm training and I'm rolling, I like reggae music a lot of the time.
Oh yeah,
like I like
me too, man.
Yeah, some reggae or something.
I love reggae. Reggae is good when you're drawing too.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, number 4. What is something that really irritates you?
Oh man, a lot of things. Like I've definitely got a lot of pet peeves, man.
I do too.
A weird one. Let's see.
Give me one that you're kind of embarrassed about.
All right. Weird. So like weird traffic layouts. So like in my it's so stupid that I let this bother me. But there's like 2 places in town they've done road construction, and they spent so long doing this road construction, and we've got this thing called a double crossover at our interstate junction, like down the road. And it's the most asinine thing I've ever seen. Like as they're doing it, I'm just like, every day I drive by, I'm like, what the hell are you doing this for? Because all it did was confuse the flow of traffic. The stoplights don't make any sense. Like, it's all weird and everything. And I think the reason it bothers me is just because it's like, somebody had to come together. Somebody had to pitch this idea. Somebody had to say, okay, look, we have a problem with this intersection, which there was never a problem with. There weren't wrecks, there weren't traffic congestion, nothing. It's just, and they had to pitch it. And then they had, like, other people decided, hey, that's a great idea to make this weird ass crossy, twisty thing where, you know, you can't see as you're merging onto the interstate. Now, if somebody's coming onto this on-ramp, or if they're going to curve this way, and then there's 4 lanes here and 4 lanes there, and they're going to cross at this intersection. And it's like a third grader designed a go-kart track is what it looks like.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, it just makes no damn sense. So you can tell it bothers me, but it's like anytime I go through there, you know, if I'm worried, especially my daughter or something, and it's like, I can't help but bitch about it whenever I go through it. And so it's really something that I shouldn't let bother me as bad as it does. But for some reason, man, it's just the things that don't need fixing, that people go through extraordinary lengths to fix, and just wind up screwing it up completely. Just that's one of my biggest pet peeves, I guess, man. I don't know.
I could see some young engineer that came up with that crap to be more complicated, to try to confuse the other people that he's working with, and they're like, yeah, let's go with it.
Yeah, it's like they lost a bet. You know?
Yeah. That kind of shit happens all the time in different fields of work I've seen, with engineers making things way more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah.
They think differently. My dad's a retired engineer too, but he's not that way at all. He's a much more practical mindset, and that I'm sure that would drive him nuts too. I think it comes from you having a good understanding of fundamentals and the way things should flow, and that obviously sounds like a train wreck, and it just drives you nuts. So it's very understandable.
Yeah, I mean, when there's like my whole like vision of things has had to shift from training. Like, whenever I've trained for this long, my whole vision of things has had to be, what's the most efficient way to do this possible, and how can we eliminate excess, and how can we eliminate the complications that stand in the way of us making this more simple, and how can we avoid complicating it. You know, so it's like I'm constantly looking at things like that. So whenever I see people doing something that's just complicating things for everyone else for no apparently good reason, you know, then that's irritating to me.
Yeah, that's your jiu-jitsu brain, man. It's a curse. It's a curse.
So that's it.
A curse and a blessing.
Yeah.
All right, number 5. What is an item in your home that is special to you for sentimental reasons?
I'm a pretty like sentimental guy, and can be a kind of a pack rat sometimes. So there's probably a lot of them. I keep like a lot of little things like that. But probably the most sentimental thing, I've still got the T-shirt I was wearing on the day my daughter was born. And so, you know, I had this like white T-shirt that I specifically wore because I knew that they would, like, whenever they're stamping her feet on the little thing, you know, that they would like stamp it on your shirt if you wore a shirt, or, you know, you could do it on a piece of paper or something. So I made sure to wear this shirt that day, and it's still in my closet, and you can still see the foot, they're pretty clear still. Obviously it's faded and everything. It's 16 years old. So, you know, I've still got that shirt hanging up in my closet. I thought for a period of time I had lost it because during a move or something, I couldn't find it for a while, and I found it again. So I made sure that I know exactly where that thing is all the time. But yeah, it was a white T-shirt. It's all dingy as hell yellow now because I never washed it, obviously, after that. So it's like blood stains and stuff on it from the birth. But yeah, that's pretty special to me. I've considered over the years like trying to copy those feet prints and then get them tattooed on me somewhere. You know, like there's people do that, and I've thought about that. It's kind of weird now that she's 16 if I went and did that now, but I don't know, for some reason it makes sense.
Not really. It's your girl, man. I'm all about it. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Does she feel special about that, or does she tease you about having the shirt still?
No, she's pretty cool about it. Like um, she's she's not like a I don't know, like stereotype teenage girls, but it's pretty easy to do. Like she's not one that's really ever embarrassed about, her dad or her dad's behavior or anything. She's, for the most part, she's pretty proud of me, and like I think she likes me pretty well, so that's good.
That's awesome, man. I have 2 girls. One's 8, one's 6, and my 8-year-old, I can't do anything right with her, man. She's always on my case already. Not even a teenager. She's so stuck up her mom's butt, it's ridiculous. And then my youngest is on Team Dad. I can't do wrong in her eyes, so we each got a clone on our army.
Well, maybe the 8-year-old is just getting it out of her system now, so she won't have to have that like teenage angst and rebel later on or something. Maybe
I hope so.
She's getting it all out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's future payback, because I was a terrible kid for my parents. Even though I apologize, I'm still getting the karma back. It's all coming back.
Right. Yeah. That's how it works sometimes.
All right. Last question. Number 6. What accomplishment are you most proud of?
Well, I mean, there's a few things I'm proud of. There's plenty of things I'm not proud of, but there's, I think that, being a dad, at least the good parts of, the good things I've done being a dad, like that's the most important thing to me. There's depending on the area of life that it's in, there's things I could be proud or not proud of. But I think that, I've never done anything more important than, being the best dad that I can be. And I've definitely screwed up a lot and plenty of things and to different sizes, big and small. But the good proud of, I'm proud that she is how she is to this point, because she's a great kid and she's absolutely brilliant and talented and everything else. So any part that I had to do in that at all, like I'm proud of that stuff. So yeah.
That's awesome. I respect that, man. One father to another daughter. Fathers,
yeah,
2 daughters. It's not easy.
Yeah.
You're at the stage that I'm absolutely scared of too, is the teenage years with a girl, man.
Yeah, man. And the prospect of the driving thing coming up and the boyfriend stuff and all that. There's definitely some parts that every single age is a challenge, though. It's like ever since the babies that don't sleep through the night, and then the toddlers with the teething and the diapers and the colic and just anything like that, all the way up to elementary school and homework and bullying and just every single stage has this new set of challenges with it. So that's something that you can't prepare for.
Mm-hmm. Take it as it comes. Huh?
Right.
What does your jiu-jitsu t-shirt say? I can only see the top part of it. It's driving me nuts. I don't know the rest of the saying.
So there's an account on Instagram and on Facebook. This guy, his name is, man, I feel so bad. But he goes by Immortal Choke, and so he draws the little characters. Let me see if I can turn around here. He draws the little characters that look like this guy.
Oh, okay.
So you may have seen some of his cartoons. He does jiu-jitsu based stuff, and this is actually here. It's a quote from Anthony Bourdain.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you can read that there.
I do it because it's hard, because it's the hardest thing I've ever done, and because it never ends. Every day presents me with a series of problems that I spend the rest of the day thinking about how I might solve, or at least chip away at. Next day, same, and the day after that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that was Anthony Bourdain talking about jiu-jitsu, actually. Before his passing, obviously. He got really into jiu-jitsu, and he actually even competed some. I mean, he fell in love with training, and so really phenomenal guy. Such a cool story behind him, and such a cool, obviously, like on the surface, a very cool life that he led. He had his problems, and ultimately, that got the better of him. But I think that, jujitsu was something that really helped him in a lot of ways, that with things that he was struggling with, for years, probably, added
definitely.
years to his life, So
He's a good example.
I really,
it's never too late to start too.
exactly. Yeah, man. I mean, what was, he was, what was it, 60s, I believe, right? When he started.
I believe so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of conspiracies around why he died too, man. That's a whole rabbit hole itself.
Yeah, this is
don't
true.
necessarily believe he took his own life either, unfortunately. But
yeah, it's scary to think about.
Well, Mr. Eli, I appreciate you coming on. Where can our listeners find you? What can I help plug?
Just Night Jiu Jitsu on all the social stuff for the most part. Night Jiu Jitsu YouTube channel. Night Jiu Jitsu on Instagram. I've got instructional DVDs and digital downloads. There's something I did called the Jiu Jitsu Deep Dive. We call it a digital seminar because it's like a course online. And so if you look at Jiu Jitsu Deep Dive with Eli Knight and Budo Brothers, that's other instructional through BJJ Fanatics. I've got 3 different instructionals on there. And then other than that, I've got a Patreon, so Night Jiu Jitsu on Patreon, so and then I just started a channel on a platform called Rockfin. And if for anybody that's not familiar with it, it's a really cool platform to check out, because not only do you get like premium content from like one creator whenever you sign up for it, it's like if you sign up to get anybody's premium content on it, you get access to everybody's. And so it's got people
cool
from like, it's very cool. It's like almost like a Netflix kind of thing. So you pay like one fee a month for like $9 or $10, and you get access to all the content creators. And you got like Ben Askren is on there. Jordan Burroughs is on there. Israel Martinez is on there. Like some really high level wrestlers and jiu-jitsu guys, and some other kind of content too. So it's really cool. Rockfin.com is the name of it. And I've been trying to suggest people check that out because it's only been around about a year, and I think that kind of model is going to really grow. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. I'll add all your links in the show notes too, so everybody can get to them easier.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
I like to end my podcast with awkward goodbyes, man. So think of something awkward. Kind of want to make this my thing. Like, thanks for coming on. And I'll just like, don't know the right spot for the camera.
Yeah. There you go. Nice.
I don't have to do it.
Do this weird namaste thing. I always have like an awkward shaka at the end of my videos.
Yeah. So, my fingers are all messed up. I could barely do shaka.
That's how mine are. That's how this knuckle here has been broken a couple times and had surgery on it. So it almost looks like I'm flipping somebody off whenever I just make a fist. So I have to like make it.
Cool, bro. Cool. Thanks, Eli, man. It's been a lot of fun. I'll get you back on here sometime if you're up for it.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Absolutely, man. Happy to come back anytime.
Cool. Have a good one, brother.
All right, you too. Thanks a lot.